All right, guys, welcome to the Next Level Live. Thank you for. I'm sorry, jump the applause. I got that timing down.
Yeah, well, they're excited.
Yeah, I didn't know they were delayed in their acknowledgement today and their clapping. So, it always makes me feel uncomfortable anyway. So I just pass it on to somebody else. I get clapped for. I'm like, all right, you're up. But we are very excited today because we have a couple fun. One of the things we've learned is that anybody truly can do this. I think that was the struggle for a lot of folks that, as you're in business long enough, you realize that at the end of the day, successful independent contractors work hard and assume some risk. I mean, that's just kind of the way it works. I mean, you can, I say assume risk. I've worked at jobs, but I guess were riskier because I wasn't making any money. But, and I guess that's funny, Mike, because when I say assume risk, I guess what was riskier, right? Trying to work the rest of my life at a job where I couldn't support my family, or go be independent where I had to buy my own leads. Like in the grand scheme of risk, but it is, it's predetermined, or how we are educated or socialized or learn behavior. We have a couple phenomenal people on the train today, Bryan and Matt, right? Bryan Mendenhall, Matt Smith, but they're not phenomenal. They're great people. We're all great people. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, yada, yada, yada. What they're really good at is being consistent in their attitude and their activity with people, and their willingness to stand up to folks. A lot of these memes y'all are doing, which are funny, by the way. Please look at those. Those are on Instagram.
Yes.
Right? Outstanding. We got a lot of thousands of people liking them. But it's kind of funny because I said to Naomi, who's creating those? That's who she works with you. And she's like, Mike is. And I was like, all right. She goes, he understands, I like the way she said, he understands this business, the agents, the whole deal. And it's funny because they're representative of our attitude. And our attitude isn't anything other than we know everybody needs the help. We know everybody has to have the help. At the end of the day, that's why I've always said about this business, people always, because when you start anything independently, let me give you a little education on that because I've been doing it for a long time. Most everybody will say you can't do it.
Yeah.
And most everybody will say you can't do it because it threatens them. And it doesn't make them terrible human beings, but they think like you can't do that. I mean, listen, we've all done it. When I was in high school, my friends were like, I'm going to go to college. And I'm like, you can't go to play Division I baseball. Well, what I was thinking is, why, if you get to go, why can't I get to go play? Or you can't go do that, or you can't go off to that school. I don't think it's because I wanted them to, we don't know what we don't know, right? So when you launch a business, most people say, hey, good luck, be careful. I always like that. Be careful. It's like, I've been working a job, barely getting by. Why was I not supposed to be careful at my job? Why do I have to be careful? What do I have to be careful about? Paying taxes, making $800-900 a policy, making $200-400 a year. What, paying my taxes? Like, you have to pay your taxes. I'm like, you pay taxes with your job, right? They just take them out.
Right.
I know I have to pay taxes. I get to keep my money a little bit longer and then pay it. I get all that. I can pay it weekly if I want to, monthly, quarterly. I can still do whatever I want. But it really, what happens with folks is we have to be willing. At the end of the day, Mike, and I say this to my kids all the time, it doesn't matter what people think.
Right.
And what I say by that is go work hard, do the best you can, treat people right. But at the end of the day, if people are going to judge you, it doesn't matter. And if you go under the auspices of it doesn't matter, your opinion's your opinion, keep it to yourself. My opinion is, I didn't ask for your opinion. So I actually don't know what it is. Have you been an independent contractor selling life insurance for the last however many years supporting your family? No, then I'm not interested. Just as if I don't go to the veterinarian and go, my opinion is, Doc, they'd be like, no, I don't. Are you a vet? I'm like, no, but I watched a couple TV shows. No. So when you listen to Bryan, you listen to Matt, you listen to any of the people we got there, which again, you look at the army of men and women. We had our best month ever. This past month, best life month ever. So, we'll be in business 6 years in December. We've never had a better month. We're growing like a weed. Facebook, internet. People are like, what do I do with leads? Facebook, internet. The fastest growing agencies in the country have embraced the fact they can get more leads for less money. I don't know where that's ever bad. I think for me, give me any analogy. I want as many swings. If it's a baseball analogy, I want as many opportunities as I can. So if I can buy a lead for $8, $12, $15 as opposed to for $40, $50, $60, I'm in. Right. I'm not saying don't buy all kinds of leads. I'm just telling you that I wish we had those options. I had a guy ask me the other day, he goes, aren't you worried about if there's a recession at some point in time? I go, I started in 2008, bro. like June 12th, 2008, here's your mortgage leads. And we got an agency killing it pretty quick. So, I don't know. I mean, listen, I think, 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 I mean, I wasn't immune. I knew that I was in real estate. So you didn't have to tell me there was a recession. I got it, but I also knew that 1.5% of people were going to fill it out. And if 6 or 7 or 8% of less people had a job during the recession, I want everybody to have a job. My industry wasn't going to explode. It's life insurance. People have got to have it. When it's going really well, they like to buy it because it's going really well. When it's not going really well, they like to buy it because it's not going really well. I mean, I don't want to, but I really think that the men and women we have here are getting so much more structured. I think the business development meetings are changing things because people are just working at it, right? It's easy when you're an independent contractor to be swayed. And I always kind of would think to myself, why are my friends wanting me to go do something with them on the weekends when they know that I have to work? Do they like me that much? Like my friends like me that much? Like I'm such an amazing guy. Like I have to be around. You know what I mean? I can see them playing slow pitch softball with their sleeves cut off on our shirts, and we thought that was funny and great, and I wasn't terrible at it. But outside of that, it's like, and I think it was just that's what we do, right? And for me, I really had to break that chain, if you will, Mike. You had to break that cycle. So that being aside, let me walk you through a couple things I see that are working and then pass on to these awesome trainers. I mean, number one, you look at the dial days, Mike, we've never been more committed to dial days. We've never been more committed to a structured dial setting. That's a testament to all you awesome people that work with us. Now, we didn't do that. Mike didn't do that. Sasha and Leeds didn't do that. You all did it. You've really embraced the fact that this is your career and you can make a bunch of money. I had an account executive for one of the insurance companies call me the other day, and he's like, so-and-so is really buying that house. And I said, yeah, he's buying a house. They said, man, he's young. I said, yeah, he's compared to me and you, I said he's young. I mean, we were older, but he's young. And he said, and he's funny, he goes, he works at insurance carrier. Like he's in this business. He works with us. Like we don't employ him, but he's employed by an insurance carrier. And I said, yeah, man, like, he goes, he can afford that kind of house. I go, do you look at his issue paid numbers?
Right.
And it's so funny though, because it really hit me that here's somebody who lives in our business, who understands the numbers, knows comp, knows you're getting paid up front, knows what renewals are, what products, pretty much knows our lead costs, but is still literally blown away. And he said, I could never have a place like that working here. I can work here till I'm 75 years of age and never afford that.
Wow.
It was very sobering, Mike, and it doesn't make, and nobody's better or worse. You're not better for having money. You're not worse for having money. You're not, but what I'm saying is it really hits you that even people in our industry, because at the end of the day, I got to be honest with you, to be able to go to work, your sweat equity, that's how you buy your leads, to not roll in the business with a bunch of money to invest and be able to start making $200,000, $400,000 a year. And then if you focus on, which I do believe is the key, Facebook, internet leads, by all means do direct mail, but you better have, I think you just have a mix. I just keep watching all these people posting with, and I'll call them, I called the guy the other day, I'm like, those are all, he's like, yeah, I wrote, $22,000 this week, all Facebook leads. I mean, like, why not? Like, right. I moved through them, Sean, I bought a ton of them. I didn't buy 9, I bought a bunch of them. So I really think that it's the structure of the dial days, whatever those happen to be for you. It's a structure running the appointments. And I think also what we used to see, Mike, over the summer, we didn't see this summer, is we would always see a dip. Yep. And we've been growing like crazy. So for a dip for us, you have to understand in business, I'm not saying relative to a year ago, like, hey, the volume was here, or the volume was here, we're here. So now, no, I'm saying we were growing like a weed coming into May and June and maintained it over the summer.
Yeah.
And why we maintained it is there's no other reason other than the men and women that work here, for them, because they're independent, treated this like it was their life and their business. And while they certainly still went on vacation, did things, they didn't take a 5-week vacation. They didn't want to chase it. And when they have a lot more people trying to think about, if I work really hard 5, 7, 10 years, what's my future look like? And it's very bright. Because, what I told Andrew Taylor 5 years ago is, bud, you could about trip on yourself for the next 5 years. And the good news is you'll still be young. But can you imagine what life will be like if at 25, you start treating it like it's truly life or death financially, even though it's not yet? Because the reality is you didn't really need to make the money. And when he changed and did that, now at age 30, he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, we can, with a couple hundred agents he works with, in the field, he's still in the field. He didn't have to be by any chance. I always love that. Like when I saw Paul the other day. And by the way, I hope your brother's doing well, Paul. If you all have seen us, we Tim, great guy. Had an accident with really did some damage to his hand. And you know what? Nobody's asking for anything. Paul, Brittany, Tim's wife, nobody's asking for anything. And then we just kind of, I think Mikey had sent an email and said, hey, listen, they're going through this. And we just kind of raised like, I don't know, $45,000 or something, like fast. Right. He's going to be out of work. So just our prayers and thoughts from Family First Life are with you. I mean, you're McLean, your family. And I thought of that because I thought about Paul being out in the field the other day. And so I just but it's stuff like that, Mike, it's really nice to be able to have the ability to help other people without, like, you still got to pay your bills, right? So if you came to me, Mike, and said, man, I made a donation to X charity. And I go, cool, man, that's awesome. And 3 months later, you're like, I'm losing my house. That's not, that just, and I know it sounds, but I want to help everybody too. But to be able to just kind of, and that was a big testament how much money people were making, because we were able to just boom, 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 put money up really quick. Makes sense? Yep. So I just wanted to share that. I know we have a lot of people go through a lot of things. That just was, on my mind. I always want to be here and it's family. The Dream Center, we had committed to, they do a year-end, they call it a festival. It's a Festival of Lights, I believe. Yeah. And they give away bicycles. They give kids a holiday in December, and what they believe or don't believe in, or what they celebrate. They still, no matter what, they food, gifts, all that kind of stuff for families that are in need. And we had committed, Family First Life had committed to giving $100,000. And I tell you that for no other reason other than it's the hard work of everybody we have here, staff, all of you. We're no company without you. That's a very easy concept. And so thank you, because that's a testament to all the stuff that we're able to do. And I think you got to follow your heart when it comes to giving back and doing things for others that need to be done. It's all perspective, right? I think life's perspective. And I'm sitting on a plane the other day waiting to get back here, and I'm on the ground in Chicago for 3 hours. And somebody says, you know why we're delayed? And I said, plane crashed in Hartford, Bradley, at a World War II, I think B-17 maybe bomber, and they're bringing some people up for a ride, like they're doing an air show over the weekend, and plane crashed. It didn't get up and hit I think a de-icing, a fueling station, and 7 people died. And you realize, like, waiting 3 hours ain't such a big deal, right? So I think when you're an independent contractor, and I'm gonna turn it over to Bryan, but when you're an independent contractor, you got to keep the perspective. You got to understand that at the end of the day, it's going to be a little bit of a grind, and the people outside of you are going to tell you not to grind because they're not grinding, and it doesn't make them bad or make you good. It just makes them people that can't have an opinion on you grinding. If you're looking to have a different life, if you're looking to be financially free, there's other places to do it. It's not like this is only life insurance, the only industry in the world to do it. It's the only industry I found that I can do it in. There's probably other industries that do it in. I've tried a lot of them. This one didn't require any crazy innate talent. It just required my ability to work hard and my empathy for people that I was serving. That was it. And I think a lot of us have that in common. There's thousands of us at this company that have it in common. So at the end of the day, since we know we do, and we know that it doesn't require anything other than hard work, good attitude, and caring for other human beings, life's pretty damn good. The fourth quarter is always the best in life insurance, no doubt. You're going to hear us next week. I think we're going to do our fourth quarter and kind of kick off, go over where we are year to date. It's all, people are back and kids are back in school, and, the summer's over. But it's a matter of how hard. We always talk about this. 2020, big part of what 20 looks like is going to be how 19 finishes. Momentum's a powerful, powerful thing. So more business development means please look, and you can see those posted everywhere. We have in cities that we don't have a sales conference. We don't have enough people there yet. So we have these big recruiting meetings there. Get your people there. We're seeing 35, 40. Andrew Taylor did one on a Saturday. Nice. San Antonio on a Saturday. I think 37, 38 brand new people. You tell people aren't hungry. They work Monday through Friday. Yeah. They see an opportunity. They leave on a Saturday when they could be doing a million other things, right? Barbecuing, watching college football, don't pay them no money, eating, drinking stuff that maybe don't need, that cost them money. They leave their house and go to a business development meeting on a Saturday to hear from somebody and hope that he can help them part-time, full-time, whatever it is. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for the record month. Thank you for all the families you serve. We appreciate you more than you know. Now I'm going to turn it over to my buddy, Bryan Mendenhall.
Hey guys, Bryan Mendenhall. Sean, thank you for allowing me to get on and share. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about getting uncomfortable in the home and challenging the clients. Guys, I get a lot of calls, and when I talk to new agents, especially new agents, they say, hey, I watched the call to close, and like some of the stuff you said in there made me feel really uncomfortable. And I know you had to feel really uncomfortable. And the last time somebody said it to me, I was like, actually, what's funny is I do feel a little uncomfortable, a little bit. But after you've done it so long, like, I know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm there to help a family. I'm doing it because I know it's the right thing to do. And what we all have to remember, guys, as far as the mindset you need to have, you got to remember, nobody's beating these people's doors down to help them out and protect their family. Nobody. And if another agent is, they're not going to be as honest or as real as we are. That's where we set ourselves different. I want to talk about a client. I had a client that I went to go help out. This is back in 2011. This is a long time ago. Okay. Her name is Frances. I went out to help Frances. When I get out to Frances's house, she was, hands down, besides on TV, one of the biggest women I've ever seen in my life. Easily 450, 500 pounds, okay? She had never been able to get any coverage whatsoever. Fortunately, we have a company with no height, weight requirements. So she was able to go with Transamerica back then. And, I covered her. She was pretty easy to deal with because she had been turned down by everybody. And I found a company that was able to help her out. Her husband's name was Eugene. And when I broke down their needs analysis and I found out like what they had going on, I found out that, Eugene worked on their farm because they had a farm. Frances, she didn't really do anything. But Eugene was kind of the breadwinner. They were just worried about Frances having a policy if she ever died. But from the breakdown, if anything ever happened to Eugene, Frances was screwed. So I went to go ask questions, and part of the breakdown I found out in the needs analysis, the financial worksheet, is that he didn't have anything. He didn't have anything whatsoever. So even though I'm just there to help her, and he said, I don't want no coverage. He said it 2-3 times. And I said, hey, Eugene, let me ask you, man, like, God forbid something happened to you. Like, what is your wife going to do? What's Frances going to do? Well, no, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm good. Okay. Hey, Eugene, what if something does happen to you? God forbid you die. Frances has no coverage whatsoever. Where is that going to leave her? No, man, I'm cool. Can I tell you why he was saying this? And it's just weird. Like, they didn't even look like they went together. It was crazy. She's maybe 500, and this guy's ripped. Like, I guess because he works on the farm. I'm not sure, but he's ripped. Oh, he looked like he probably had a six-pack under his shirt. He's in shape. What he was basically telling me is that, look at me, look at her. Who's going to die first? Look at her. Without saying it in front of her face. So the easy thing for me to do was just to pack up my application, I don't know, maybe $1,000, $1,200, and go to my next appointment because I had more. I had to say, Eugene, Frances, remember in the beginning when I asked you your permission to be honest with you, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent? You told me I could be honest, right, Eugene? You're not going to get upset? You being a little bit of a jerk right now. Nope. With all due respect, man, I'm just being real. How do you know what's going to happen to who's going to die first? How do you know? You don't. And I know you love this woman right here. Put some coverage in place for her. It's the right thing to do. He looks at me. He says, man, you're getting on my nerves right now. Go ahead and write it up. Guys, I wrote this guy a policy where he literally had told me no 3 times. But then I went one more time, and he said, go ahead and write it up. I wrote that policy in December, I remember. December 2011. I got a call from Frances. It was May. She called me in May. She called me freaking out. Bryan, it's Frances. Frances who? I got a lot of clients at this point. She tells me, I say, oh, what's up, girl? How you doing? Eugene just died. He just passed away yesterday from a massive heart attack on the kitchen floor. Guys, the same guy that fought me tooth and nail, 4 or 5 months later, he's gone. Dropped dead from a massive heart attack. And guys, automatically got on the phone, worked out the claim paperwork, went out, helped her with the paperwork. When the check came in, I was there. She gave me literally the biggest hug I've ever gotten. She squeezed me. It felt like it was 5 minutes. But she sat there with me, guys, and for like 5 minutes, she would not let me go. I felt like she said, I remember you. I remember you fighting. I remember he told you no so many times. You didn't quit on us. And she was just holding me, squeezing me, and crying. Guys, if that don't give you goosebumps, then nothing will. That's why we do this. We go in the house to fight for them. If we're fighting for the clients, if we're doing what we need to do, by all means, guys, we don't worry about being judged. The clients know that we're coming from a good place. If it's coming from a good place, if it's coming from your heart and you got the right mind, thinking about the client, not thinking about your pockets and your money, guess what? They're going to know that. They're not stupid. Once you start thinking about them, you don't care about challenging them. Like in a mortgage protection scenario, when I talk about, God forbid, pull out the bloody driver's license, right? And there's a knock at the door. Susan, you go open the door. It's the Ben Salem Police Department. They hold up a bloody driver's license and they ask, can you identify this person? It's Bill. Susan, what's going through your mind right now? Yeah. You feel that tension? Guys, that's real. Susan, what do you do next? Like, what's your plan? What do you do? Can you afford to stay in the house? On this needs analysis here, you just showed me that, God forbid, if anything ever happened to your husband, you're up a creek without a paddle. What do you do? Do you go to your parents' house? I didn't even think about the kids. What do they do? Do they go to the same school? Are they now moved? Do they start over? And I asked you again, Susan, what's the plan? Guys, at this point, the tension is so thick and they don't have a plan, guys. Your mindset needs to be that when people fill out these mortgage protection cards, they don't have a plan B. If they had another plan, or if they had a guy, or if their cousin was going to take care of them, do you think they would have be sitting down with you? Do you think they would have filled out a form, mailed it, put it in an envelope, folded it, licked it, put it in an envelope and sent it back to you? No, they don't know what to do. Guys, when you go to the doctor, you say, hey, this is what I got going on with me. Hey, I'm jacked up. I'm sick. Tell me what's wrong. Hey, I guarantee right now, if y'all had a feeling in your heart, something felt weird, you're going to go right to the doctor. And whatever the heck he tells you to do, you're going to do it. These people fill out forms looking for somebody to diagnose their problems. When we go through this sheet, guys, you have the authority to say whatever you need to say, being legit, obviously, being transparent, telling the truth, being ethical. But as long as you're doing all that, guys, you should never feel any kind of way about challenging them. I feel like I literally go to war sometimes when I'm sitting with clients. And it's funny. I'm going to war for them. I'm going to bat for them. Because I remember the way that Frances hugged me. And I remember the way she held on to me and said, I remember when you didn't quit on me. How many of these clients, God forbid, they died today, if they can go back and they knew they were going to die tomorrow or the next week or the week after, how many of them you think would say, I want to think about it? I'll wait. I'll say that to people. If you knew you were going to die next week, would you do this policy today? Well, yeah, then I would. How do you not know? What's around the corner? I think about that story with Sean Mike where he wrote a client and literally within, I think it was a couple of weeks or a month, he got in a motorcycle accident and died. That's crazy. But Sean did what he was supposed to do and he was covered. Same thing for final expense, guys. Like nobody, I've even talked to agents and some of them aren't even talking about death. They're saying, well, if something happens to you or when something happened, when you die, who are you going to leave to pick up these pieces? Who? Oh, okay, your daughter. Got it. Is that what you wanted? Did you want to leave everything on her? I mean, what does that look like? What does that look like for her? Is she doing really, really well? Like she well off? Yeah, she is? No, she's not. How many kids she have? She married? They don't live here because I don't see them. They have their own house. Got it. Which means they have their own bills and their own responsibilities. And on top of it, think about that for a second. Like, just think about it. How would you feel leaving $15,000, $20,000 over their head? Well, your daughter not only has to worry about just losing her only mom, she's lost her mom. Do you know how hard and heavy that's going to be on her heart? But on top of that, now she has to sit there and deal with picking up the pieces? Come on. One thing I know about you, you come from the same generation as my mother. You're not gonna leave that burden on anybody. My mom didn't want to leave a burden on anybody. And I'm assuming you're the same way, aren't you? Yeah. Guys, these are some of the things that if you're not willing to get uncomfortable, if you're not willing to challenge, I gotta tell you, I remember one point in the beginning of my career, in the beginning, just from my energy alone, I was helping a bunch of people. But then I got to a point where I couldn't just sell off of raw energy. Like I felt like I started missing people. People started telling me they wanted to think about it and I started buying it. Guys, don't buy into that. Don't buy into it. Because when you do every single time, you're doing that family a huge disservice. And if it was your family, would you fight for them? Let's think about that. If it was your kids getting ready to do drugs, you knew they were about to do something bad, get themselves hooked, would you stop them? What would you do to stop them? I'm sure you'd do anything. Guys, do you truly believe in what we do? I do. Do you truly believe in the power of life insurance? Do you believe in how it can change lives? I've literally seen both sides. I've seen this side with my Aunt Tina, me not covering her and leaving my cousin Marcus out without a house. He's a real person. He lives in a place right now in Marsville to this day. He could have had a house completely paid off. I take responsibility for that. But on the flip side, guys, I think about my Uncle Rick, guys, every time. And I was able to get a house paid off. Michelle, Samantha, and my little cousin, my big cousin Rick, but he's little Rick. They were able to get money. They were able to be in a situation where they never had to worry about anything. Yeah, you know what? Can't bring my Uncle Rick back. We can't. But he was covered. He didn't leave a burden. Guys, challenge people. Think about what we do. Know the power of life insurance. Get out there and help as many people as you possibly can. Guys, what we do makes a huge freaking difference. I love you guys. I hope this really helped. And man, I'm excited right now. I'm fired up. Thank you guys for having me. Take care.
Thanks for having me on the Next Level Call, Sean. My name is Matt Smith. I'm with Family First Life Northwest. And today I've broken this segment into 4 different sections. I'm going to talk about some success traps. I'm going to talk about emotion behind making money. I'm also going to give you 4 different formulas of success and how you can obtain it. I'm also going to give you 3 tips at the very end to execute and drive up your sales. Before I get into all the success traps and whatnot, I want to make sure and mention that February 6th through 8th, here coming this next year at Planet Hollywood, we've got our national convention. And I'm very excited to be part of that. I know many of you are going to be attending. Last year we had close to 1,700 agents. This year I think we'll double in size just due to the amount of agents that we've had come on with Family First Life. There's going to be a tremendous amount of speakers. There's going to be a tremendous amount of like-minded people that you'll be able to get around to really drive up your business overall, drive up your sales, drive up your agency, really grow, because this year is the year of being all in, and next year is taking over the industry. And you got to do one before the other. So make sure here at the last quarter of the year that you're focused on those goals that you set here in 2019. I think that's extremely important. This is where the most amount of insurance is sold in the insurance industry is this last quarter. People change their mindsets during the holidays, and it's a great time to get in front of people. It's a great time in regards to advanced markets. It's a great time for insurance, and we're all lucky to be able to have the opportunity to be able to execute here at Family First Life. The one thing I know about this opportunity is it is tremendous right now. You got a bunch of business development meetings all over the country that are happening now where you can plug in agents, they can get training, they know what to do, they can take action points out and start to really work and achieve their goals that they want. The one other thing that I would mention though is winter is coming. And what I mean by that is eventually it's not going to be as easy to build your agency. Right now, you really have to have a sense of urgency because it's never been easier with our platform to plug people in and be able to have them help families and help themselves along the way. So take advantage of this opportunity because it only comes around once in a lifetime. I mean, we've gone from 21 million here in 2014. We'll be well above 200 million this year in regards to issue paid numbers. The growth is tremendous, and a lot of people are going to get left behind. I don't want you to be one of them because there's plenty of room for everyone to have space here at Family First Life. We're just a small portion of the overall industry, but we're certainly making big waves right now overall. So just understand that winter's coming, and it's going to show what you've done, all spring, summer, and fall. So are you putting in the work in the fall right now to make sure when and if that day comes that your business is solid? Those are the things that really drive me to have more of a sense of urgency right now, is just understanding that, I got to capitalize now because now is the time. So a couple different success traps that I'm going to share with you today. The first thing I would say is this is going to really, each individual is going to find something that you can take away from being trapped as far as success is concerned. The first one for me is flattery. So, getting compliments from your spouse, from maybe your business partners, close-knit friends, is something you can take to heart. Where you need to make sure and not let it go to your head is when you start to have other people outside your tight inner circle start to give you compliments, because then you start to believe your own hype, and what happens is you become a lot less coachable. And when you don't become coachable, there's no growth. So make sure that you're not reading the press clippings. Make sure that, if you are achieving some goals that you've never hit before, just understand, as good as that can be, it can also change in, a New York minute per se. The next one is making sure that you don't isolate yourself when you start to have success or when you're not having success. And what I mean by that is a lot of people, maybe a lot of managers, as they get more successful, maybe the door is harder to open. Maybe the time with them is harder to get. Try to make sure that you stay close to your people, because that's the reason they probably got into business anyways, is because of that relationship. So make sure that Sean talks about this a lot too, is, hey, we have a lot of great cross-pollination scenarios in our agency and overall at Family First Life, where we start to get training from people on the East Coast. People from the East Coast are getting training from people on the West Coast. People from different agencies are getting trained from different agencies. And that's important because you have to make sure that your thinking is completely right, and you getting around people even outside of your agency can only help. So make sure you're not isolating yourself, because that's a disaster, as far as a recipe for a disaster, I should say, in regards to this business. The next thing is this: you want to make sure that you're not a perfectionist. When you're talking about being a perfectionist, you're talking about not taking action. And ever meet the agents that need business cards before they go out, or need to make sure they have every single facet of what they're doing completely covered? Well, I promise you that that's not the best way to go. So, a lot of times people say that not taking action and taking your time can be effective. Time is important to you because you need to make money right now. And there's really 4 different types of perfectionists. You have doers, you have talkers, you have supporters, you also have controllers. And doers, they're gonna take the action steps. But people that are controlling, that's the scariest one, because it means you're not able to develop other leaders. So if you're inside your group and you're trying to realize maybe why you're not growing as much as you should, maybe you're too controlling, maybe you're not developing people, maybe you're not letting people really develop themselves like they need to. And these are things that I look at myself and make sure that I'm being more self-aware as years go on, and make sure that we go from there. So the next thing is not upgrading your philosophy. So you've got to make sure that you're focused. So there's a lot of different distractions that you have out there, and you need to eliminate those and replace them with good habits, good rituals, so you're staying on point and your schedule is got some traction versus distraction. One of the things that I would say is you've got to make sure that communication is at a very high level when we're talking about, upgrading your philosophy. Now, I would tell you that you need to upgrade it with all the leadership at Family First Life. I'd also tell you that it'd be very healthy for you to get around successful people outside this business. The one thing that I know is successful people think differently. I can give you a couple different examples of multimillionaires that I've been around recently. One is actually a college football player that I played football with, and he owns a commercial real estate insurance company. And it's funny because he, out of college, this is 20 years ago, he was making about 30 grand a year, and I was in the car business, and I was making right around 350 a year at that time. And I remember talking to him, and I said, "Scott, why are you doing this? Why are you doing insurance right now? I can't believe it, because you could be doing something else and making way more money." What I didn't take into effect is that compounding interest effect. What I mean by that is compounding effort over time. A lot of times we lose focus on what that means to our business. So he didn't waffle when he was making 30 grand a year. He stuck with it. Well, now he's a 7-figure earner, worth $8 to $10 million. And it's almost laughable because he just stuck with it, which is the formula for success. Another couple that I know that owns some successful restaurants and are worth millions in Seattle, for example. When you talk to them, they talk about different things. They talk about books you read. They talk about leadership. They talk about how to drive sales. They talk about, if you notice, you get around different people. And I like to do both, inside our industry, outside the industry. You'll start to change your thinking. And when you change your thinking, you can really start to change your vision. When you change your vision, you can have goals. When you have goals, you can start to implement daily tasks. When you have daily tasks, you can really start to conquer and get that compounding effort and interest over time. That's a huge deal. The one thing I would say too is, a lot of times if you're not upgrading your philosophy, you and your team will end up losing. So new lead types are always coming out, right? Whether it's social media, internet, live transfers, direct mail, retro leads, all these different types, call-in leads. If you're not trying every single lead source, and adapting to it, and then also executing new sales, that's an example of evolving or dying. So really start to challenge yourself in regards to the marketplace of where you're at with your philosophy. Make sure that you're getting the right type of coaching, being around the right type of individuals of whatever you're looking for. Recently for some of my staff, I had them call some of my Kilomet's team to say who's getting their agents started the best and most fast. So these are areas that I know I need to improve on. I know what my team needs to improve on, but I need to upgrade my philosophy, and I can't rely on my own thinking, because the minute you think you know everything, you're defeated. So understand that as well. Next thing is making sure that your relationship with your spouse, your partner, your significant other, make sure that focus is good. Make sure your communication is up, because a lot of times we come in this business and it's new to our partners. And we think that we might have the right type of support, and we really don't. And what happens there is it really undermines your business, and it really affects your belief level, and your overall success foundation is going to fall if you don't have that belief level. So with your spouse, a lot of you see numbers, and maybe you think you're going to, make 10 grand in your first week. Can that happen? Absolutely. Does it happen most of the time? Not really. You have to stick with it and really start to develop your skill set, because there's no reason why you can't be doing 10 grand a week, but that might take a little bit longer. People really grossly overestimate what they can do in their first month and underestimate what they can do in a year. And that's just a fact in itself, right? So make sure that you're intentional, make sure your communication's up with your spouse. That's big. And also the next thing is make sure that you're not compromising your non-negotiables for short-term gains. We've talked about that compounding interest effect in regards to your effort. It will add up over time. The reason why people are so successful is because they've just stuck with it and give that maximum effort over time. If you think of the top leaders at Family First Life, whether it's Andrew or Paul or Mike or John or Mark or all these top individuals, it's just been a short 5.5 years or so where they've put in maximum effort over time. They're all 7-figure earners. They've all made significant amount of money. They're all making impact in their local areas as far as their charity is concerned, as far as giving back. They're changing lives of agents. These are all things that they may not have seen when they first came to Family First Life, but now I guarantee that they see the difference, and that all starts with making sure that you're not compromising those short-term games. So a lot of times when you want to go to the football game, or when you want to go to the basketball game, or you want to skip out on work or dial sessions, that comes with a cost, and everything comes with a cost. And the one thing I would say is you've got to be self-aware to know the difference. And if you're someone that's up to here, that's got your bills up to here, well, guess what? You're somebody that needs to be working 60 to 70 hours a week to get ahead. There's nothing wrong with that over long periods of time. And if you're working 60, 70 hours a week and someone else is working 30, maybe 40, how quickly are you going to be able to pass them? How quickly are you going to be able to change your life? Those are the things that you need to make sure are non-negotiables. Other things like podcasts, other things like our next level call, advanced market calls, your local agency trainings, if you have live dials. These are things that you should not compromise. They just should be boulders in your schedule that cannot move, because this is the difference between winning and losing. That's huge. That's a huge deal. The next thing is going to be your health. Listen, if you're in poor health, the one thing that I know is you have low energy. If you have low energy, it's going to be really difficult for you to execute in business. Recently, I changed my diet, for example, and I'm always trying to get better, right? And Sean Ruggiero and I were talking about goals to lose weight over time, because you can't be, big and bulky forever, because what happens is you might, die at age 58 or something like that. So we're just trying to lose weight, because the lighter you are, the longer you live is our philosophy, right? So recently I changed my diet, lost 15 pounds, and I have more energy, and a lot of this stuff comes with confidence too. If you think about this industry, if you think about what it is, it all comes down to confidence. And if we can, make sure that you're taking care of yourself, working out in the mornings, That gives you a lot of energy. Make sure that you're keeping promises to yourself as far as what time you get up, what time you go to bed. These are all small wins that start to add up over time that are going to make a huge difference for you and your agency. So, if you're someone that's stopping at fast food and you're not packing your lunch, take a look at that. Maybe that's something you change. It's been a blessing for me. I wouldn't think it wouldn't be for you. So try on new things like that, because that can be huge for you and your success. The last one, as far as success traps, is make sure that you speak. Make sure you're not speaking the same language to everyone. So, in regards to the best coaches that I've had, as far as growing up and playing athletics, whether it was high school or college for me, the ones that got the most out of people were the ones that identified what they wanted and where they wanted to go. A lot of times you're not going to talk to your spouse the same way you're going to talk to your kid, the same way that you're going to talk to your employee, the same way you're going to talk to your client, the same way that you'll talk to your marketing department, the same way that you'll talk to yourself. You've got to understand that you still need to be the same person. You need to be genuine. But there's a big difference between you talking the same way to everybody. And when you're getting agents started, you just need to understand where they're at and where they want to go, and then help them reverse engineer those numbers to get them where they go. So for your long-term thinking, are you someone that has an eye on the prize? Are you focused on, the opportunity that you have here at Family First Life? Conversation I was having with Scott that I was just mentioning earlier in the commercial industry. We were talking about our biggest fears. And our biggest fears were being that 80-year-old man that's sitting on our porch, with not much time left, and looking at ourselves and saying, gosh, I didn't give it everything I had. Or 80-year-old woman, for that matter. You don't want to live a life of regret. You want to live a life of really being intentional. And hopefully you want to be someone, because you are self-employed, that wants to make a difference. That's a huge, huge deal as well. With that said, you need to make sure that you are leveraging your time. So what is your next step that needs to scale your business? Is it a staff member? Is it an office? Listen, there's not a better way to drive up your personal sales than to actually get an office, to actually hire an employee and jump in with both feet. When I did this, when I hired my first employee, I was at a 55% contract level, for example, with a different marketing organization. But you know what? My sales went up because I didn't have a choice. I had someone else relying on me. So these are things that you've got to look at towards the end of the quarter. These are things that you got to look at coming into 2020, is how quickly you can start to push off things that aren't income producing activity, that are really below your pay scale, that you could execute and start to really get to another level as far as what you could be doing as far as your time. Everybody understands that there's not a better way to make money than on your own personal pen. So how much can you maximize that and still grow your business, and still, not have to be the person delivering the policies, or not have to be the person that is doing amendments, or not have to be the person that is doing initial dials, or your marketing, your Instagram, your Facebook, all those different things. You should really look at areas where you can improve, because these are areas that will help you grow as well. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the emotion behind making money. So the first thing is, it comes down to your belief level. To me, belief level is simple. It's always about confidence. So if you can make sure that you're got 5 daily tasks that you're doing every day, and that you try to execute those every day, it could be as easy as like working out, getting up at the same time. It could be a relationship goal. It could be different business goals that you can easily start to obtain. Your belief level starts to go up. The reason why most people's belief level is low in the beginning is because they have a bunch of white space on their calendar. And what I would really tell you to do is start to try to talk future truths, even though you might not believe them. They're a lie today, but try to talk future truths. And what I mean by that is, let's say if you want to be a board member, and you say, hey, I want to be a board member by the middle of 2020. And I want to be a 7-figure earner by the middle of 2020, for example. And you're off that right now. That's okay. It's okay. The biggest thing is How you will crush that future truth is if you don't put the action plan together, if you don't believe in yourself. And a lot of times it's going to come down to your perspective. So think about this. There's 500,000 Americans out of 326 million that make $1 million a year. 500,000. It's a pretty big number. A lot of successful people out there. Now, what's interesting is in the world, there's only been 4,000 people that have climbed Mount Everest. So think about that. We're just talking about America. I don't know the world number for people that make $1 million, but it's got to be huge. But if there's 500,000 people in America that are making $1 million, that's a heck of a lot easier than climbing Mount Everest is my whole point. So a lot of times you just need to change your perspective on how easy this can be. And you know what? Getting around people like Sean Mike, getting that ability to be really optimistic like he is. He's probably the most optimistic guy I know, which is why he's always pushing the envelope for us to all reach our potential. You also need to make sure that you question everything you're doing. When things aren't working, you need to make sure and, take inventory of that and make changes. So if something I'm doing wrong, I'm trying to get better. I don't have it all figured out. All we can do is try at the end of the day. But I do know that we've had growth and we've had some great success in 2019. I'm grateful and thankful for the opportunity in hand. That you have to also realize that you need to challenge your thinking. Challenging your thinking is what I spoke about before. It's about getting around other agents or agencies that are doing things successfully. That's a huge deal. If the goal is personal production, being a career agent, then you need to make sure that you create a domino effect. So the biggest thing I could say you could be a perfectionist on is getting great on the phone. I'm going to assume you got leads already, but the one thing that I would tell you that everybody gets out of the business early is they're not good on the phone. And I see it time and time again when we do live dials on Zoom and we start to train agents, and they're just letting the clients have control. They're saying things before they should. They're saying that they're going to come out to the house before they've even, agreed for an appointment or whatever. They're not listening to what they're saying, and they're not in control. So I would tell you, become a perfectionist at the phone, because the in-home will get better. The in-home's simple. If you come in with certainty, and if you make it affordable, you're going to find 3 out of 10 buyers. It's just going to happen. It's that easy. And the numbers you'll put yourself in favor as you get in front of more and more people. And make sure that you're facing the truth. So make sure that you've got if something's not working, like I said, make sure you're self-aware enough to make changes. Make sure that you change dial times. Make sure you buy different lead sources. Make sure that you're door knocking. Make sure you're doing extra. Make sure your calendar's full. These are truths that you need to make sure that are there. Otherwise, you're going to wonder why you're not succeeding, and there's simple things that you just need to tweak and change throughout the process. Here's your 4 formulas of success. The first one is you've got to outwork everyone. And here's the deal. Your mindset can't be small on this. You have got to outwork everyone, not in your agency, but you've got to outwork everyone in Family First Life, and you've got to outwork everyone in the insurance industry. You want to impact this? You want to make a difference for your family? It comes to your workload. It comes to what you're willing to sacrifice to really have the outcome that you want. So number 1 is making sure you outwork. Number 2 is you need to out-improve. I'll tell you what, if you're one of these individuals that says, hey, we're getting too much training, well, I promise you that you need training every single week to stay sharp, because you can't get to where you need to be off your own mindset. Even the most experienced salespeople in this industry, in our company, need training, because we're simply don't have it all figured out, and we have to stay sharp. If we're not getting trained, we're not going to be able to execute at the highest levels of this business, and we're not going to be able to evolve into different aspects of the business and create that domino effect of getting great on the phone, getting good in the home, being able to start to pivot to different sales. That's where you start to really impact and make a huge amount of money for yourself as well. The next thing is you need to outlast people. So when you think about individuals that I mentioned before, our leadership here at Family First that have been here for close to 6 years, it's been a short 6 years. And I can't believe what the next decade is going to look like as well. But it's been a short 6 years, and their life is completely changed. And that's crazy, because when you look at it, like, look at what, we'll use Mike as example. The house he lives in, the cars he drives, how it's changed for his family, for Stephanie, for the girls. Life-changing. No different for Brent, no different for Mark, Andrew, Paul, all these individuals, John. Their lives change, and it's been a short period of time, but they've outlasted everybody because they stuck with it, and they got to that compounding effort that you really need to succeed. Those 60, 70 hours a week add up over time. The last thing is out-strategize. So you need a strategy in business, and that's where success leaves traps. We have a simple sales process here at Family First Life that you can follow. We have a simple building an agency process that you can follow. The roadmap is out in front of you. In fact, I would say the keys are in the car and the gas is already in it. You just need to get in and drive. The question is, are you willing to do it? So that's a huge scenario for you as well. And in regards to my final topic is, I'm going to give you 3 different tips on how to drive your sales up in the house. And the first one really starts with empathy. I want to talk about things that you might not be aware of. I know you're aware of them, but you need to really be more intentional about it. So empathy is huge in sales. If you're able to put yourself in your client's shoes and really understand their circumstances, that is where trust is built. And where trust is built is where value is built. Where value is built, that's where things start to exceed price and money exchanges hands. So make sure that you're being empathetic to people's circumstances, and that comes with financial inventory, understanding their scenario, understanding their why. Why did they fill out the form? Driving down those questions to make sure that you drive up the emotion, which brings me to the next point, is you need to make sure that you're diagnosing the pain points in the house. The problem for a lot of you is you're not as good as you think you are anyways in regards to asking questions. The higher quality questions that you ask in your life, the better quality of life you'll have and the more money you'll make. And I know one thing about money, it's a lot like oxygen. If you don't have any, it's pretty difficult to breathe. And it causes financial stress, and it causes stress in your relationships. So make sure for your clients that you diagnose the pain points. How do we diagnose pain points? We start to ask better questions. We start to ask deeper questions. We start to figure out and get behind the emotion of it. We start to solve problems in the house versus just showing price quotes that don't exist. If you're not in control of the house, there will be no value. If you don't know where the pain points in it or the hot buttons are in the house, there will be no value. If you can't problem solve specific to their scenario and build value through that specific scenario, and we're talking about simplified issue products, we're talking about getting things issued quickly, getting them covered now is what they want. That's going to be the difference between you winning and losing. And the final scenario for you is you need to eliminate objections up front. Listen, the worst thing is getting objections on the backhand. And again, you've heard me say it time and time again, it's all about control expectations and making sure that you tell them what to expect. Hey, listen, I do life insurance. I do mortgage protection, final expense, retirement income planning. I'm going to take about 3 minutes to ask you some financial questions, 1 or 2 minutes on your health. It will take me 10 minutes to explain the different options to you. Once we find something that meets your budget needs, we'll just see if you can qualify. Does that sound fair, John and Mary? You're in control now. But the difference is if you don't explain simplified issue versus life insurance, if you don't give them things up front, if you don't talk about work policies and why they don't work versus a privately owned policy, these are things that will start to show their head because you didn't drive up the value and you didn't eliminate the objections up front. So make sure you have empathy. Make sure you diagnose pain points and make sure that you eliminate objections up front, more about the control. And I think you're going to have some success and a lot of success in the house. And that's my time. I appreciate you allowing me on the Next Level Call. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Have another great week. Let's push hard. It is the fourth quarter. Talk to you soon.